I'd like to say what a thrill it is to be part of this extraordinary celebration, 50 years of this amazing school. And like Eve, I'd like to pay homage to Jean, Jennifer, and Jawa, among others who've been instrumental in creating this research environment and this wonderful environment for children. Last summer, a colleague sent me a picture of her 5-month-old nephew who had just turned on a computer for the first time. But just a few years later, we see this and this. What happened in those years, and what can we do about it? My work sheds light on what happened. In those years, children develop mindsets, beliefs about their talents and abilities, and some of them come to conclude that their talents and abilities are just fixed traits. They have a certain amount and that's it. And this makes them afraid of taking on challenges, afraid of failing, and it limits their achievement. But others come to the conclusion that their talents and abilities are things that they can grow and develop, and when they have this growth mindset, they take on the challenges, they stick to them, because that's how you get smarter. Now, what about toddlers? They kind of fall in between these two ages, and for a long time, most developmental psychologists thought toddlers are like the babies. They are protected from failures and self-doubts. They are in a period where they are just unself-conscious, undaunted learners. Unfortunately, our research showed this was not always the case. Many of them did indeed feel bad about themselves when they failed, and especially when they were criticized. They felt that this deficiency might be permanent, and they kind of gave up, got discouraged, and gave up when they hit difficulty. So how can we prevent that? And how can we bring children back to this? Our research at Bing shows 3 things that parents and educators can do. But first I want to say, we used to think you just had to teach the grown-ups a growth mindset. The idea that abilities can be developed, that your brain can grow stronger, your neurons can form new, stronger connections when you do hard things and learn. And we thought that they would just kind of pass it on to the kids. We were wrong. Many, many studies now are showing that many, many parents and educators have this growth mindset, have the belief, but they're not passing it on because they're not embodying it in their behavior. The child does not see the mindset that's sitting in your head. The child sees your behavior. So what are these 3 things we've learned that adults can do? First, it's the praise. Andre Simpian, Ellen Markman, and I did the first praise work with toddlers at the Bing School. Later, other grad students, Sarah Gripshover, Carissa Romero, and I teamed up with researchers at the University of Chicago to look at parents' praise to their babies and toddlers. And what we found was that the more the parents gave process praise to their toddlers, babies and toddlers. So process praise is praising the process the child engaged in, their strategies, their focus, their hard work and persistence. The more parents gave this kind of praise in relation to other kinds, the more their child had a growth mindset and a high desire for challenge 5 years later when they were in grade school. And the more those kids had higher achievement in math and language 2 years after that. It can always be changed, but it's powerful. And now I feel entitled to interfere in airports. And I have. So praise. And then the second thing is reactions to failure. Many parents themselves have a growth mindset, but they worry that failure is harmful to their children. Their children will feel bad and lose confidence. And so, when their children struggle or have failures, Kyla Heimovitz and I are finding those parents get anxious and they worry about the child's ability. When they do that, the child is going toward a fixed mindset. Why would you be so upset and concerned about my abilities if they weren't these important underlying traits? But other parents use it as an opportunity to learn. When their child struggles or has setbacks, they think it's a good thing, and they convey that to their child. What are we going to learn from this? Isn't this interesting? What can we do now? And their children move toward more of a growth mindset. So praise, reactions to failure, and finally, the fabulous struggle. Allison Master did her dissertation research at the Bing School, and one of the things she did was create a storybook that she read to children in the experimental group, something different in the control group. And this story extolled struggle and doing hard things. The protagonist in the story reveled in taking on difficult tasks. And the people in his or her environment, the parents and others, were thrilled when the child took on hard things and stuck to them. Allison found that children who heard this story later, when asked to choose a task, chose far more challenging tasks than those in the control group. And when they were given a challenging task, they stuck to it significantly longer. Even more when she came back 2 weeks later, they were still choosing these challenging tasks and persisting on them longer. Let me give you a sense of how powerful this can be. A couple months ago, I got an email from the business school. They said a kindergarten class was coming to campus that day, and they were studying mindsets, and could they meet with me? I said, this is the worst possible day. We're interviewing 16 prospective graduate students. But then I thought, how can I pass up this opportunity? So I said, okay, have them come at 1:20 on the dot. At 1:20 on the dot, 18 kindergartners swarmed into my office. I found out later that my colleagues were wildly jealous. So they swarm in, and we have this amazing conversation. One of them said, you know how when you learn 1 + 1, you want to do it over and over? No, you got to do 1 + 2. And then another one said, what do you say to yourself when something is really, really hard? And the whole group had a discussion of it. Well, week before last, I received a booklet from the teacher of these children's work. She had them do a meditation exercise where they pictured themselves going through a maze and hitting a very, very difficult part. When they hit this difficult part, they were to say to themselves, I want to do this because it's hard. after that, they drew pictures of what they were thinking and feeling when they hit that wall and said, I want to do this because it's hard. So I just brought 2 pictures that they did. And here's another one. And here's what 3 of the kids said. When I faced the challenge, I said, I'd like to do this because it's hard. And my brain felt like this picture, courageous. Courageous means that it's hard, but you still want to do it. And you want to do it because it's hard. Another said, I said, I want to do this, and it differenced me. Going back to Eve's, it differenced me because all of the angriness flew out and the happiness flowed into my brain, and I completed the maze. And finally, when I told myself, I want to do this because it's hard, this sparkle appeared. I felt happy. The wall opened up and I walked through. But then I just came to a dead end. It wasn't really a dead end. It was just another wall that you can walk through. What more is there to say? Thank you.